Alright, good afternoon. So, today with Practice 2A we're going to start talking about extruding a base feature. This is going to introduce you to basic sketching and extrusion functions to make 3D shapes. So we're going to start with a new part file. You can find that from a couple different areas, but you want it to be a metric file, millimeters, right? And you're going to start from either the new dialog or the part box. And you can check your document settings in the Tools tab on the ribbon bar to make sure your units are correct. Once you start that practice, you'll see that if you go to your tools or your settings, you'll be able to turn on or off those. So always expand your origin, because knowing where X, Y, YZ, all that is really important. So we're going to start a 2D sketch, and we're going to click on the base plane right there. We're going to sketch on that plane. And we'll sketch just like if you were following along with the practices that you can download from the class blog. You'll be able to double check any dimensions or different ways, because the way I'm doing things can be done a couple different ways. So start your sketch. If you want to show some different things, right? If you want to show, let's say we're going to sketch a cube for this one, I believe. You want to project geometry. Project geometry is going to actually let you show those different axes, right? The YZ or the XZ or whichever. This will be something you'll get used to. At any point in time, if you do hit OK, or if you go and sketch, you can always open that sketch back up from the little model browser below by double-clicking on the sketch or right-click on it, and you can always edit that sketch. So we're going to start by drawing a rectangle centered on the origin, roughly. Remember, you don't have to go specific. We're going to dimension it later and make it specific. So just draw a rectangle around the origin. In your application options, go to Sketch and turn on those grid lines. I always like to have mine on. It helps it look good. You can do the same. Then you hit OK, just to make sure everything's square. I'm just looking through a couple tabs here that I'll show you later on. The iProperties tab, where you can put your name, the type of material, what it's made out of, who's your project manager, all those kind of things. What I just showed you there was how to change your mouse zoom function. If you roll your wheel forward and you want to zoom in when you roll forward, you can change that in the application settings. So you'll go into the tools, application settings, so on and so forth. Alright, so now we've got our rectangle. If you notice in the practice, we don't just have a rectangle. We actually have a rectangle with specific dimensions. So you need to provide those dimensions. Well, there's a couple ways you can show them. There's automatic dimensions, where you can actually just click automatic dimensions. It'll tell you how many are required, and you can hit apply. However, I will warn you that this is only good practice to kind of take a look at basic layouts. If you add too many dimensions, or if you have a certain shape and you automatically dimension it, it will dimension in a way that is not intuitive, right? It won't make sense the way that it will dimension. So what I usually do is do my own manual dimensions. For instance, here I was just going back and deleting a few. So I left a couple dimensions there, and then I'm going to add some more. So you can add dimensions by clicking on planes or lines and going from left to right, as you can see here, changing that dimension to match the dimension in the practice, right, which I believe it was changed to 11. Yes, 21.596 is your upper dimension. And then your bottom dimension, you're going to make 16.942. And then now I'm going to go back and start changing the rest of those dimensions, just how it showed me in the practices. So this is where you're going to look back and you're either going to match my dimensions like I've sketched here, or you're going to go in and change them how they say, which I think they become 20, 10, 13, and 26 respectively. So you can look at those, update your sketch as you see I'm doing here, finish your sketch. Once it's finished, you're going to extrude that. Now extruding is based on you having a closed profile, so that square that you've made, that rectangular piece, you're going to now extrude. And you can extrude it a couple different ways: symmetrically, one-sided, both ways, or asymmetrically. You'll add a dimension, which I believe we're supposed to extrude that to roughly 10 millimeters, which is the default. And go ahead, once you extrude that, you can double it or whichever your dimension to make sure you can see it show up. And once you get that done, you're going to save your file to your My Documents. Don't save it where it automatically goes. Save it to your My Documents with Chapter 2 Practice A and your initials as a save name. So notice here I go to My Documents and then I made a folder, and you can go and do the same thing yourself. Now, once you save it, once you go into the next practice, you're going to actually do almost the exact same thing we just did, but instead of sketching a rectangular, this time you're going to actually sketch a circular section or a circle. Once again, going to New Part, making sure it's millimeter, or making sure you've got the right units. Starting a sketch on the base plane, drawing a circle around that sketch and extruding it, so forth. So follow these tutorials. As you move on, go to Practice 2B when you're done. Remember to save all the tutorials as you do them, the practices, so that when you're finished, I can walk around and check you off for a grade. Alright, and after you finish this extrusion, save it, dimension it,